Learning the Italian future tense is a must for discussing plans, making predictions, and even expressing doubts or guesses with ease and confidence. In this lesson, you'll not only learn how to conjugate the future tense, but also how to navigate its many uses, like expressing assumptions and avoiding common mistakes that even advanced learners make. But here's the twist. Did you know that the future tense in Italian isn't always about the future? Stick around and I'll reveal how Italians use this tense in ways that might surprise you. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. To help you to practice everything you've learned here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which includes all the vocabulary and examples you're about to see here today. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. Pronti? Ready? Iniziamo! Let's get started. Is the Italian future tense? The Italian future tense is used to talk about actions or events that will happen later in time. For example,
Domani chiamerò Enzo.
Tomorrow I will call Enzo.
La settimana prossima nevicherà.
Next week it will snow. Now this verb form belongs to the indicative mood, which is the mood used to state facts or describe reality. In Italian, the future tense comes in two forms. The simple future, Futuro Semplice, which, as its name suggests, is used when something will happen in the future, like
L'anno prossimo vivrò a Londra.
Next year I will live in London. There's also the future perfect, Futuro Anteriore, which is used to talk about actions that will be completed before another event in the future. For example,
Quando arriverai, io avrò già mangiato.
When you arrive, I will have already eaten. The Italian future tense is quite simple to learn, and you will use it frequently in everyday speech. It's not limited to talking about the future. It also expresses orders, guesses, and personal views and more. In the following sections, we'll explore how to form the future tense in Italian. We'll also look at regular and irregular verbs and discuss the rules and exceptions. But to learn the top 30 irregular verbs in Italian and how to conjugate them, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is learn how to form the simple future tense in Italian. Now, forming the simple future is easy because the endings are the same for all verbs, whether they're regular or irregular. Hooray! Now, once you learn the pattern, talking about the future will be un gioco da ragazzi, child's play. Let's start with regular verbs in the simple future. Now, to form the simple future of regular verbs, follow these steps. Take the infinitive form of the verb, drop the final E from the infinitive, and add the appropriate simple future endings based on the subject pronoun. Now, for verbs ending in ARE, there's an additional step. You need to change the A in the root to E before adding the future endings. For example, cantare, to sing, becomes canter. Take a look at this table.
Studiare.
To study.
Studierò. Studierai. Studierà. Studieremo. Studierete. Studieranno. Scrivere.
To write.
Scriverò. Scriverai. Scriverà. Scriveremo. Scriverete. Scriveranno. Dormire.
To sleep.
Dormirò. Dormirai. Dormirà. Dormiremo. Dormirete. Dormiranno.
Now let's take a look at irregular verbs in the simple future. Now, while most verbs are regular in the Italian future tense, some are irregular. The good news, these verbs usually feature only small spelling changes, and they still use the same endings as regular verbs. Additionally, these irregular patterns also appear in the conditional mood, so it's like learning two tenses at once. Now, if you want to brush up on your understanding of how to use the conditional in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Okay, let's begin with the main irregularities. The first one is, as usual, essere and avere are irregular. Take a look at this table.
Essere.
To be.
Sarò. sarai, sarà, saremo, sarete, saranno. Avere,
To have.
avrò, avrai, avrà, avremo, avrete, avranno.
For verbs ending in CIARE and GIARE, drop the I from the infinitive when forming the future tense. As with all ARE verbs, remember to change the A to an E before adding the ending. Take a look at this table.
Baciare,
To kiss.
bacerò, bacerai, bacerà, baceremo, bacerete, baceranno. Cominciare,
To start.
comincerò, comincerai, comincerà, cominceremo, comincerete, cominceranno. Lanciare,
To throw.
lancerò, lancerai, lancerà, lanceremo, lancerete, lanceranno. Lasciare,
To leave.
lascerò, lascerai, lascerà, lasceremo, lascerete, lasceranno. Danneggiare,
To damage.
danneggerò, danneggerai, danneggerà, danneggeremo, danneggerete, danneggeranno. Mangiare,
To eat.
mangerò, mangerai, mangerà, mangeremo, mangerete, mangeranno.
Are you enjoying this lesson so far? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. The next one is, for verbs ending in CARE and GARE, you need to add the letter H before the simple future endings to preserve that hard sound of C and G. Also, as with all ARE verbs, change the A to an E. Take a look at this table.
Cercare,
To look for.
cercherò, cercherai, cercherà, cercheremo, cercherete, cercheranno. Giocare,
To play.
giocherò, giocherai, giocherà, giocheremo, giocherete, giocheranno. Litigare,
To argue.
litigherò, litigherai, litigherà, litigheremo, litigherete, litigheranno. Pagare,
To pay.
pagherò, pagherai, pagherà, pagheremo, pagherete, pagheranno. Praticare,
To practice.
praticherò, praticherai, praticherà, praticheremo, praticherete, praticheranno.
In some ERE verbs, the E in the root is dropped before adding the simple future endings. The verb andare, to go, which is an ARE verb, also follows this rule. Take a look at this table.
Andare,
To go.
andrò, andrai, andrà, andremo, andrete, andranno. Cadere,
To fall.
cadrò, cadrai, cadrà, cadremo, cadrete, cadranno. Dovere,
Have to. Must.
dovrò, dovrai, dovrà, dovremo, dovrete, dovranno. Potere,
To be able to.
potrò, potrai, potrà, potremo, potrete, potranno. sapere,
To know.
saprò, saprai, saprà, sapremo, saprete, sapranno. Vedere,
To see.
vedrò, vedrai, vedrà, vedremo, vedrete, vedranno. Vivere,
To live.
vivrò, vivrai, vivrà, vivremo, vivrete, vivranno.
Then we have some verbs that drop part of their root and double the letter R in the simple future tense. Take a look.
Bere,
To drink.
berrò, berrai, berrà, berremo, berrete, berranno. Mantenere,
To maintain.
manterrò, manterrai, manterrà, manterremo, manterrete, manterranno. Rimanere,
To remain.
rimarrò, rimarrai, rimarrà, rimarremo, rimarrete, rimarranno. Tenere,
To keep.
terrò, terrai, terrà, terremo, terrete, terranno. Venire,
To come.
verrò, verrai, verrà, verremo, verrete, verranno. Volere,
To want.
vorrò, vorrai, vorrà, vorremo, vorrete, vorranno.
Some ARE verbs retain the A of the infinitive in their root instead of switching to an E. Take a look at this table.
Dare,
To give.
darò, darai, darà, daremo, darete, daranno. Fare,
To do. To make.
farò, farai, farà, faremo, farete, faranno. Stare,
To stay.
starò, starai, starà, staremo, starete, staranno.
Now, here are 10 ways to use the simple future in Italian. The first one is to talk about actions or plans that are planned or expected to occur. For example,
La prossima estate andremo in Sardegna.
next summer we will go to Sardinia.
Sabato suoneremo al compleanno di Guido.
On Saturday we will play at Guido's birthday party. Attenzione! In indirect speech, the simple future is expressed using the past conditional when the reporting verb is in the past tense. Take a look.
Andremo a Bologna.
We'll go to Bologna becomes
Hanno detto che sarebbero andati a Bologna.
they said they would have gone to Bologna. Now, to learn more about how and when to use indirect speech in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. The next way it's used is to express an opinion in a way that feels less direct, usually with the expression,
Ti dirò,
literally, I'll tell you. Take a look at these examples.
ti dirò, non penso che sia così sbagliato.
I'll tell you, I don't think it's that wrong.
Sono sicura che sarà un successo.
I'm sure it will be a success. It's also used to express guesses, suppositions, or hypotheses. For example,
Non trovo mia sorella. Sarà ancora in biblioteca?
I can't find my sister. Could she still be in the library?
È tardi. Avrai fame.
It's late. You must be hungry. It's also used to give orders and instructions with the future implication instead of using the usual imperative form. Take a look.
Uscirai quando lo dico io. Chiaro?
You'll leave when I say so. Understood?
Adesso andrai da lui e gli chiederai scusa.
Now you'll go to him and apologize. Now, to learn more about how and when to use the imperative in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. The next usage is to express doubt or uncertainty about a situation. For example,
Cosa saranno queste macchie sul muro?
what could these stains on the wall be?
Il capo ha cancellato la riunione, ma avrà altro da fare.
The boss cancelled the meeting? Well, he must have something else to do. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to below in the description. Now, the future tense is also used for announcements in public places, like train stations or airports. Take a look at these examples.
Il treno delle 8:15 per Firenze Santa Maria Novella partirà dal binario 1.
The 8:15 train to Firenze Santa Maria Novella will depart from platform 1.
Il volo per Roma subirà un ritardo di 30 minuti.
The flight to Rome will be delayed by 30 minutes. It's also used to make predictions or forecast events. For example,
Tra qualche anno tutte le scuole saranno digitalizzate.
in a few years all schools will be digitalized.
Tra qualche mese la situazione migliorerà.
In a few months, this situation will improve. We also use it to make promises. For example,
Non dirò niente a nessuno. Promesso.
I won't tell anyone. Promise.
Promettimi che verrai a trovarmi più spesso.
Promise me that you'll come visit me more often. We also use it to emphasize that a situation is true, but not that important. For example,
Avrà anche 80 anni, ma ha la mente più brillante di molti giovani.
he may be 80 years old, but his mind is sharper than that of many young people.
Sarà anche un bel posto, ma non c'è niente da fare.
It may be a nice place, but there's nothing to do here. The simple future is also frequently used in set phrases that give conversations a natural idiomatic feel. For example,
Hai studiato tutta la notte? Capirai, non sei né il primo né l'ultimo.
did you study all night? Big deal. You're neither the first nor the last.
Ammetterai che hanno avuto un gran coraggio a parlare in quel modo.
You'll admit that they had a lot of courage to speak that way. Now let's take a look at how to form the future perfect tense in Italian. The future perfect is a compound tense, meaning it is formed with two elements. The simple future of the auxiliary essere or avere, depending on the main verb you're using, and the past participle of the main verb. Let's break this down to make it clearer. Essere, to be, is used as the auxiliary for the verb essere itself, and with intransitive verbs, which are those that do not need a direct object. These typically include verbs of movement or state. In this case, the past participle must conform to the gender and number of the subject it refers to. Take a look at this table.
Andare.
To go.
Sarò andato. Andata. Sarai andato. Andata. Sarà andato. Andata. Saremo andati. Andate. Sarete andati. Andate. Saranno andati. Andate. Cadere.
To fall.
Sarò caduto. Caduta. Sarai caduto. Caduta. Sarà caduto. Caduta. Saremo caduti. Cadute. Sarete caduti. Cadute. Saranno caduti. Cadute. Partire.
To leave.
Sarò partito. Partita. Sarai partito. Partita. Sarà partito. Partita. Saremo partiti. Partite. Sarete partiti, partite. Saranno partiti, partite.
The auxiliary avere, to have, on the other hand, is used with the verb avere itself and with transitive verbs, which are those that require a direct object. In this case, the past participle remains in the singular masculine form. Take a look at this table.
Studiare.
To study.
Avrò studiato. Avrai studiato. Avrà studiato. Avremo studiato. Avrete studiato. Avranno studiato. Scrivere.
To write.
Avrò scritto. Avrai scritto. Avrà scritto. Avremo scritto. Avrete scritto. Avranno scritto. Dormire.
To sleep.
Avrò dormito. Avrai dormito. Avrà dormito. Avremo dormito. Avrete dormito. Avranno dormito.
Now let's take a look at 4 ways to use the future perfect in Italian. The first one is to talk about an event or action that will be completed before another event or action happens in the future. This structure is often introduced by words like
Quando.
when or
Dopo che.
after. Take a look at these examples.
Quando avrai finito di mangiare, andrai a giocare.
When you have finished eating, you will go play.
Dopo che avrò imparato l'italiano, andrò a Firenze per qualche mese.
After I have learned Italian, I will go to Florence for a few months. We also use it to take a guess or make an assumption about something that happened in the past. For example,
Sarà capitato anche a te di dimenticare un appuntamento.
you must have also forgotten an appointment.
Per arrivare in tempo in aeroporto, avranno dovuto chiamare un taxi.
To get to the airport on time, they must have had to call a taxi. You can also use the future perfect to express doubt or question something related to past events. For example,
Dove avrò messo gli occhiali?
where could I have put my glasses?
Quando sarà passato il corriere? Io non ho visto nessuno.
When might the courier have passed by? I didn't see anyone. We also use it to express a concession about something that happened in the past, indicating that, although something might be true, the result was negative or contradictory. Take a look at these examples.
Chiara avrà anche fatto una bella presentazione, ma non ha risposto alle domande.
Chiara may have had a great presentation, but she didn't answer the questions.
Sarà stato anche un bel giro, ma il traffico ci ha fatto perdere molto tempo.
It may have been a nice trip, but the traffic made us lose a lot of time. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Don't forget to download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to below this video. Okay, let's take a look at when we use the present tense for future actions. In Italian, it's common to use the present tense when talking about future events, especially in casual, everyday conversations. This is especially true for plans or events that are certain to happen. For example, we can say,
Tra una settimana arriva mia sorella.
in a week, my sister arrives, instead of,
Tra una settimana arriverà mia sorella.
in a week, my sister will arrive. Or,
Venite anche voi al cinema domani?
are you coming to the cinema tomorrow too? Instead of,
Verrete anche voi al cinema domani?
will you come to the cinema tomorrow too? In both examples, time expressions like
Domani.
tomorrow or
Tra una settimana.
in a week already indicate that we're talking about the future. Because of this, using the future tense might sound a bit redundant, and the present tense does the job just fine. Now, there's a subtle difference between the present and future tenses in terms of meaning. While both can refer to future actions, The future tense often carries a sense of expectation or excitement, while the present tense feels more routine and certain. Let's compare these two similar sentences.
Il prossimo mese vedo Claudio.
Next month I see Claudio.
Il prossimo mese vedrò Claudio.
Next month I will see Claudio. Now both refer to the future, but the first sentence uses vedo, I see, which is the present tense, which makes it sound like seeing Claudio is just like a normal part of your plan. The second sentence with vedrò, I will see, in the future tense adds a bit more emotional weight, suggesting that you're looking forward to it. Here are some more ways that you can talk about the future in Italian. In Italian, future actions can be conveyed in various ways, not just with the future tense, making the language more expressive and varied. Here are the most common expressions that you can use.
Stare per. Sto per entrare in riunione. Cosa c'è?
I'm about to go into a meeting. What's up?
Essere sul punto di. Sara è sul punto di crollare.
Sara is about to break down.
Essere in procinto di. I signori Rossi sono in procinto di traslocare.
The Rossis are about to move.
Avere intenzione di. Ho intenzione di fare una lunga vacanza.
I intend to take a long vacation.
Accingersi a. Il governo si accinge a emanare una nuova legge.
The government is about to issue or pass a new law.
Pensare di. Penso di andare in montagna a Natale.
I'm thinking about going to the mountains for Christmas.
Essere lì per. Sono lì per vincere la partita. Manca solo un punto.
They are about to win the game. They just need one more point. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to below this video. Now, the concept of the future in English and Italian is approached quite differently. While English has several ways to express future actions depending on the context, Italian relies more consistently on its future tense. For example, in English, we often use the present continuous to discuss future plans or scheduled events, like I'm going to Italy this summer. But in Italian, the present continuous, which is anything with an ing, such as going and doing, is only used for actions happening right now. And this sentence would need to be translated with the simple future. Take a look.
Andrò in Italia quest'estate.
Now, this is a good example of why direct translation from English to Italian can lead to errors. Now, take a look at this table that summarizes how future actions are expressed in English versus Italian. For general future actions, will plus a verb. For example, it will rain tomorrow. Simple future.
Domani pioverà.
Scheduled plans and events. To be plus ing. For example, we're coming back on Sunday. Simple future.
Torneremo domenica.
Future intentions. To be going to. For example, from tomorrow I'm going to quit smoking. Simple future.
Da domani smetterò di fumare.
Another important difference between English and Italian is how the future tense is used in time clauses introduced by words like quando and dopo. In English, we don't use the future tense in these clauses. Instead, we use the present tense for the time clause and the future tense in the main clause. For example, we'd say, I'll text you when we land. In Italian, the equivalent sentence would be,
Ti manderò un messaggio quando atterreremo.
I'll text you when we land, because the future tense is generally used in both the main clause and the time clause. That said, in informal spoken Italian, you'll often hear the present tense used in the time clause mirroring English. For example,
Ti mando un messaggio quando atterriamo.
I'll text you when we land. Another common informal variation is to use the infinitive in the time clause, like
Ti mando un messaggio dopo essere atterrati.
I'll text you after we land. And finally, in English, the future tense with will is also used to make polite requests, as in the sentence, "Will you pass me the bread, please?" However, in Italian, such sentences cannot be expressed using the future tense. Instead, it requires a different structure, typically the present indicative. Take a look.
Mi passi il pane, per favore?
Or the conditional mood.
Mi passeresti il pane, per favore?
Now, to continue your learning and to help you practice everything you've learned here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. Now, if you enjoyed this lesson, don't miss my lesson on how to learn all 15 tenses in Italian, and you can do that by watching this video right here. Plus, if you want to master Italian word order and sentence structure, make sure you watch this video right here. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more video lessons like this one. Until next time, ciao for now, un abbraccio!